Newquist,
Here.
Berkowitz, Diaz, Logan, Parker, Revis, Richmond.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Well, thank you for being quick on the draw there. I like that. Keep your microphone on and we're going to roll through this here. So, first item up is, I need a motion for the approval of the minutes from September 17th. Can I get the motion?
Motion for second Diaz.
Roll call, please.
Newquist,
Yes.
Berkowitz, Diaz,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Revis,
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item up is, number 5, old business, authorizing payment to Hero. Are the folks from Hero here? All right, if you want to come forward, just in case there's any questions or that. Okay. All right, so can I get a motion to put Hero on the table for discussion?
I'll make a motion to put Hero.
Second, Revis.
Right. If you could just state your name and, let me turn your microphone on. And I know you've been here before. You guys provide us with a presentation of that, but if there's, in the next 3 minutes, if there's anything you want to share with us or that. Did I not? Oh, can you hit? Oh, you got 11 on. Okay, good. So if there's anything you want to share with us in that time frame, that'd be great.
My name is Jan Dombrowski. I'm the Executive Director of Hero. We've had a really busy year. We have taken our Hidden in Plain Sight trailer to, well, by the time we get done with our season, which will be the end of October, we'll have gone to about 70 different events. Last year, we passed out 990 boxes of Narcan in Will County and over 21, almost 2,200 boxes area-wide. We help people get into treatment. We have a family support group that if you have a loved one who's dealing with substance use disorder, we meet every week. We teach them what's enabling and what's helping, which is a lesson I had to learn with my nephew, who I'm proud to say has almost 12 years sober now. We also have a grief support group. We recently met with School District 86. There is a new law in Illinois saying that schools have to teach about the dangers of fentanyl. We will be helping District 86 do that. We're just out in the community almost all the time. And if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great. Anybody have any questions with that? All right. So we have
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah. Okay. Got a couple questions. So Kim, if you want to go first and then share it. Sure you want.
Just for clarification for the committee, in your documents that you submitted, you in one paragraph requested a allocation in the amount of $75,000. And then in the details where your budget is, the total amount is
It
50,000.
could be 50. That's, yes.
That's all.
So just for the committee's information, then what we're looking to do is we're looking to authorize the 50. And what we're going to do is we're going to do it in 2 installments, 25,000. Everybody knows that there's some uniqueness to this and where they're going to have to provide back documentation for proper payments and all that kind of stuff based on the state's attorney's office. And if we need to clarify anything, Mary, feel free to step up here, but I think I kind of have it. So what we're going to do is we're going to authorize the 50, pay out 25. They're going to have to come back to us with proper documentation. It's all going to be outlined in their agreement. And then once that is satisfied, then what we're going to do is authorize the other 25. So is that clear for everybody on the committee or any questions?
So I would just send all that ahead of time to.
So what you'll do is we'll work it out with staff and the state's attorney's office.
Okay.
I believe Mary said it was all kind of outlined in the agreement.
I haven't seen the agreement yet.
Yeah, I mean, if she could just give you her card and
Okay, so basically give Mary your card and then they'll work out the details at the staff level.
Okay.
Okay? And I think Sherry was
Yeah.
first and then Julie and then we'll,
And this is actually more of a question for Mary, really. So can we authorize payment of the first installment before the agreement is executed?
oh, sorry.
So we have an agreement drafted that we will be bringing forward to the executive committee next week. And I will reach out and work with Hero to make sure that we have the details specific to the Hero program in that agreement before we bring it forward.
Okay, so we can authorize payment today, but we wouldn't disperse it.
You can't
until-
disperse it until county board
County
approves.
board.
it
Right,
anyway.
county board and pending the agreement and all of that. That's
Correct.
what I'm saying.
Correct,
Okay.
That's correct.
I just
I
wanted,
wasn't sure of the sequence of
no,
that.
I just wanted to make sure that it was kind of clear that they weren't going to get it all up front, and because there's a couple of things that the state's attorney's office has to work through so we can be compliant with the disbursement of
To
it.
make sure we have the documentation to comply with the settlement agreement in the opioid litigation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. Julie, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Jan, thank you for being here. I just had a couple questions and a request. So you mentioned here you're going to have a new Joliet office.
We do. We just moved in November in the Joliet Electric Motor Building across from Knoll Park.
Oh, okay. So what I'm asking, could you just provide to us, later, to the county board members, where your services are, if that's the only actual location, and where, for example, my district is North Will County, what would I do if I, met somebody who had a need, what the process is?
Okay.
That would be greatly appreciated. And I think if each of the county board members had that information for their district, because I think this is an incredible program. And I want to make sure that I can help people, get to you in a prompt fashion.
I can do that very easily.
Thank you.
Well, I do have our printer broke now, but I do have something that says what Hero can do for you
Okay,
that I can get to you.
okay, that's wonderful. And does your program work with the hospitals and the ERs?
No.
No, okay,
we
just
don't.
wondering. Okay, thank you.
But I am meeting with a lot of the police chiefs on Thursday to talk about what Hero can do. Thank you. For the different police departments. There's a new opiate reversal medication that's out there now called Opvee. I know you've all heard of Narcan. With that, people can overdose again without using anymore in like 30 to 90 minutes when it wears off. This new one, the half-life, meaning it stays in their system for over 11 hours. So we're going to be presenting that to the police chiefs on Thursday.
So Jen, if you could actually, you don't have to print it out. If you could just provide us with a PDF, I think you just.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Just send it to Kim's attention and we'll get it dispersed out to the
Okay,
rest of the
perfect. I can do all that.
team. So, we had a first, a second, we had a roll call already, so if I could just have a,
Second, Diaz.
all right, all in favor?
Um,
Any opposed? All right, we're gonna move forward to the executive committee. So to the full board, All right, so here, Jan, what I would like you to do is if you could stick around, and it could be a little bit of a longer meeting, hopefully not, but if you could stick around for a picture with the committee and that'd be greatly appreciated, so.
Okay, and then I was talking to Sherry, and if I could have some of our board members meet with the finance committee when we could present a fake check or something,
That's,
if that's all right with you.
yeah, is it all right if I accept a fake check then, is that, or?
No, I mean, you giving me a fake check.
I mean, we got attorneys sitting in the crowd here, so we gotta be careful here, all right?
Well, State's Attorney Glasgow does that. He does a fake check that he,
All right, no, I appreciate it. So if you can, Jan, if you could stick
Okay.
around, that'd be great.
all right, thank you.
All right,
I'll get you that.
okay, no other old business. Next up is new business. corporate fund budget to actual report. Rashawn? It's your time to shine. She's on. Okay, good.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
All right. So in front of you, if you could bring up the first attachment, which would be the budget to actual memo. So everyone should have the memo in your packet. So I'll just walk through that. So the budget to actual report is 10 months of activity through the end of September. You'll note that the table displays the revenue sources by category in the corporate fund. You have the 2024 budget, 2024 actual, and then a comparison of 2023 actual. The year-to-date actual realized for 24 is 202.2 million. Which we've realized 74.36% of revenue to date. Property taxes reflects the first and second distributions for the 2023 levy, which is payable in 2024. We're on target to be at 100% by the end of the fiscal year, and we've already collected 94% of the property taxes that were budgeted for 24. The licenses and permit percentage of the budget realized to date is 58%. To date, building, zoning, and site development permits are projecting lower than expected. And of course, that is due to the number of permits that have been applied for by the land use department. Intergovernmental revenue percentage of budget realized to date is 61%. This is lower than expected due to timing of receipts for sales tax and state income tax, salary, and other reimbursements. So the taxes that the state disperses to the county, there's always a lag or a delay, and it's just due to timing. However, by the end of the fiscal year and during the lapse period, we anticipate to meet budget by the end of the fiscal year. Charges for services percentage of budget realized to date is 71%. We're on target to meet budget as projected. And on the second page, fines and forfeitures, percent of budget realized to date is 18%. This is lower than expected due to the timing of receipts for traffic fines. And this is based on the actual fines that are collected by the circuit clerk's office and the elimination of the bond forfeitures and refunds. So there's no cash bail. So we anticipate to see that revenue decline in that area. Interest realized has exceeded budget, and we anticipate to continue to exceed budget by the end of the fiscal year. Overall, the percentage of revenue realized is at 74%. The graph below shows the revenue by category and shows the percent of budget realized with the total collected of 202.2 million. And you'll note that 49% of the revenue realized comes from property taxes, 27% comes from intergovernmental revenue, and 11% from charges for services. On the expense side, the table below displays the expense categories, the 2024 budget and the 2024 actual, and a comparison from previous year. Overall expenses are tracking on target to budget with 78% overall expended, which is below the targeted range of 83% at this time. Okay. And then on the next page, again, is a expense graph displaying all the categories. And of course, the top two expenses are salary and benefits, followed by contractual services. Below is display of expenses by department, and you'll note the expenses for each department listed below. We have the budgeted amount, the 24 actual, and a comparison for previous year. And the targeted percentage based on the 10 months of activity is 83%. And we have a couple departments who are slightly over that, which is attributed to salaries and a little bit of benefits, or they've expensed a portion of their commodities or contractual services. The last page, our cash balance. The chart below displays our cash reserves at mid-year and as a percentage of the adopted budget. The cash balance is, as of September 30th, was 91.2 million, and you can see the last several years, a snapshot of where we were at the end of September and the percentage of the cash reserves from the adopted budget. And so we're at 33.5%. Also included in your packet, you should have a detailed system-generated revenue and expense budget to actual report, which details line by line. And that concludes the budget to actual report. I will open for any questions.
So our funds on hand, what you're saying is as of September 30th was 91 million change.
Yes.
We fell 255,000 change, but that's where we're sitting in. Okay.
Just real quick, Rashawn. So we would expect to be at around that 83% number at this point, is what you're saying, right? Just based on the where we are at this point in the year.
Correct. So we're 10 months into the fiscal year. We only have 2 months left. We end at, so at this expected time, the expenses should be around 83% expended.
Any other questions? Move on from here then. So we had a motion and a second. And then this is just discussion. Okay, all right, okay. Sorry, folks. Next item then is the estimate of annual aggregate levy. Can I get a motion to put that on the table?
Motion, Douglas.
All right, Rashawn, it's
Okay. All right. So in your packet, if you can bring up the memo on this one as well. So in your packet is the estimate of the annual 2024 tax levy. This is the proposed levy that's in the 2025 budget. Just a little background on the property tax levy estimate. The property taxes make up 40% of the total corporate fund revenue, which is the most stable source, revenue source in the corporate fund. Property taxes, as you know, support a variety of operational expenses. Per state law, or PTEL, it allows for a taxing district to receive a limited inflationary increase on existing properties to the lesser of 5%, or the increase in CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, which is set by the Department of Labor and Bureau of Labor Statistics. Under the state law, an additional allowance is received for new property. The 2024 levy CPI was certified to be at 3.4%. However, the proposed budget includes CPI at 2% in new property. To determine the proposed levy extension, data was provided by the Supervisor of Assessments Office and the county clerks, such as the equalized assessed value, new growth, and any abatements and exemptions. These all determine the factors that goes into the calculation of the levy extension. The county's tax base has experienced consistent annual growth during the past 5 years, with an annual average growth of 6.8%, as you can see in the chart below. The levy rate, tax rates over the last 5 years, the 2024 tax rate is 0.5101%, which is down from the previous year of 0.5481%. And this is indicative of consistent growth in the EAV. The chart below shows that is the limiting rate calculation. Due to the growth in the EAV, the total levy amount is 156.2 million, or an increase of 4.6 million. Of the 4.6 million, 2.6 has been allocated in the corporate fund, and the remaining 2 million is in the tort, workers' comp, and highway funds. So to calculate the levy extension, you take the previous year's extension, which is the 151.6 million, and that's multiplied by the 2%, which is being recommended as CPI, which gives you the new extension base, which is the 154.7 million. The numbers in the next section was provided by the Supervisor of Assessments Office. So we have our net equalized assessed value, which is 30.6 billion. New property is 335 million, which gives us an adjusted valuation base of 30.3 billion. Taking the extension base, dividing that by the adjusted valuation base gives you the limiting rate of 0.5101%. And the new extension base and new property gives you the overall extension base. So this is the amount that would be extended. Below that is the dollars that all of this translates to. So the 2% CPI equals the 3 million, and the total in new property is 1.7 million for a total of 4.7 million. And 2.6 of that has been allocated to the corporate fund. The next attachment, if you can pull that up, shows the resolution. It's on the agenda today that provides a breakdown by fund. And I'll wait until Tim gets that up. It should be, yeah, that should be attached. Yep, there we go. So that shows the actual resolution, which provides the breakdown by fund and the total of 156.4 million. And with that, Chair, I'll turn it back over to you.
I was going offline and, or I was going off my online one, and it's a little bit different here, so that's, sorry about that.
This is number 2 on your agenda.
No, mine's the same, I think.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll just, I'll go off of this one here. Because my online one only has 7, so, all right, I apologize.
No, no problem.
There's a type, okay.
On the paper one, there's a typo.
So number 4 then is why we're, okay, why we're off.
There's 2 number.
Yeah.
Number 4s.
Okay, all right, that makes sense, so. All right, any question? Oh, Mark, you have a question? Yes.
Okay, so, the last finance meeting, we discussed revenues, right? For it within the budget for,
With was expenses, no, this is revenues. And we're kind of tying it together with going up, an update of where we're at as of September 30th.
so September 17th was expenses? That was that meeting topic?
Yes.
That was,
Yeah.
okay. So, I guess I apologize, I wasn't at that meeting, but, you know, I was just trying to understand, or one of my questions that I wanted to understand in regards to the levy was, I know this has to be calculated with the equalized assessed value from the assessor's office. But in a situation where this quote unquote everything bubble pops that we're currently in, and real estate and home prices sharply decline in a quick period of time, where will that leave us as a county? So Rashawn, I don't expect you to know the answer to this question, but like, when is the next time homes are going to be reassessed? Is that going to be next year? I know we just had our quadrennial, sorry, that word is tough to say, but at some point, they're going to have to be reassessed. And so, not that we're overextending ourselves now or over promising or overtaking, at some point we have to rein it in. So I guess that was a general point. If tomorrow we weren't going to have all this revenue, could we survive as a county, and what would we cut? That's what we should cut today and try and save people money on their property taxes and start to be a solution to the problems, that many people know exist, and we're just kicking the can down the line, waiting for something to happen. So
Mark, you bring up a good point, and one of the things that I did discuss with Rashawn is if we get questions that are, not that she's not prepared for it, questions that we need to do a little bit more gather more information on. You bring up a good point. I think what we should do is we should look to, within a couple weeks, put together an agenda that we can address those types of questions. So that's something that Rashawn and I already discussed. I'll work with staff. What I'd like you to do is get together all your questions by, today's Tuesday, say by Thursday night. Get them into staff, Kim, and you already to aggregate them all? And then what we'll do is on Friday, we'll figure out when we can have the meeting and who all needs to be present. Because you're bringing up a question to Rashawn that,
yeah,
that's not in her
and
wheelhouse.
I realize that, and I'm sorry,
That's-
Rashawn.
yeah. So
I guess this was
fair
our
question.
time to discuss
Yes.
too. And then I would also like to apologize, I guess, on the 17th. That expense conversation obviously was pretty important. And so, yeah.
Everybody's got things to do in that, so.
Yeah.
Julie had hers on. Sorry. All right. It'll do it. Okay, so
Okay.
Julie, then Judy.
Thank you, Jim. And Rashawn, I know you probably don't have the answers to this,
Yeah.
but maybe you can guide me as to how we can become more knowledgeable about this and how to understand how to prepare for it. So I've been talking to a lot of my constituents. Many people who have their houses on the market or have had to recently pull their houses off of the market. And what I'm learning is that many municipalities charge these people who are selling their homes fees. So that's a revenue. Do we charge a fee to somebody who sells a home in Will County if it's in unincorporated? Are there any fees from the county? Marcy's shaking her head no.
So,
Okay, so we don't have any type of release. Okay, but most municipalities do. So if you sell your house and you want to move, you got to pay to get out. Second thing, we have seen the prices are just unbelievable, ridiculously high. However, the last month, a lot of properties are sitting there. And a lot of several properties are being pulled off of the market because I think we're to a point where a lot of things are out of control. And it seems to be goings on within the real estate market and how realtors are doing their thing. There's a whole set of things going on here. So my concern is I remember I was on our homeowners board when we had that, the market burst before, and we had all these vacant properties that were abandoned in our subdivision. We had multiple issues. Market collapsed, and the people who were still in their home were struggling. Now, what happens if this happens again? Because a lot of us just don't feel this is sustainable. It doesn't even make sense. I mean, the house across the street from me, it was unbelievable, just sold, and we're all in shock. We don't think it's going to continue. So we know the assessments have gone up, but when the property values fall, what happens?
So, and also too, Julie, I think that would be a good topic of discussion, you know, and I'll just, you know, I'm just saying 2 weeks from now, but that's not an official date. But Rashawn, if you feel free to.
Yeah, and I think a lot of some of the questions that you're asking to better provide you an answer, some of the questions I can't per se answer, but I think the supervisor of assessments office can answer a lot of your questions and concerns and can provide when the next equalized assessed value will be done. And if there is a turn, downswing turn in the market, what that would look like, what will happen. At this point, given the market, we know interest rates were up. The Feds just dropped the rates, 50 basis points, which provides some relief. And there's been anticipation that, there will be maybe a couple of more reductions in the rate. Given the fact that there are some unknowns when you're dealing with interest rates, people are a little leery of, purchasing a house because who wants to pay more money for a higher interest rate? So I think it's a give or take right now in the market. And because there are some unknowns, it's hard to say right now. Yes, the property values are we've seen a trend where it's been on the upswing. So I can't say what will happen if there is a downswing. I think at this time it's too early to tell.
Yeah, many different economists have different ideas and thoughts, Julie, but you got to remember too, as the interest rates go down on mortgages, our interest income is also going to be reflective in our revenue portion of our budget. So, but this, Perla, what we'll do is, maybe kind of synopsize Julie's comment as a question, and we'll work on getting another meeting established. I'll say 2 weeks from now, give or take a day or so based on whatever we can work out with staff and that. So, I'm sorry. Everybody's free to ask questions. Let's work to Judy, and then we'll come back around this way and we'll go from there. So, I mean, this is an important topic, folks. So I appreciate the questions, but we want to make sure we have the right people to answer the questions and we can move forward from here. So.
Right, and I think that the questions are really good because we've had that huge housing bubble where everybody's EAV went up with a lot of money, a lot of dollars, and what will happen, we don't know because we haven't lived through something like that. I'm pretty sure though that this is something that you can answer, is that we levy for a certain amount of money. We don't always typically get the amount we levy for. Sometimes we can get maybe more than we anticipated. Sometimes we get less. And when that happens, let's just say if we get less, more is never a problem. But if we do get less and it impacts the budgets, then what happens?
So if we get less than what we've anticipated or what we've extended for in the budget, if it's significantly less, then we have to look at our expenses because it will have an impact on that for the upcoming year's expenses. For the current year, we would just if we were under budget, it would just be the revenue realized. But what I can tell you, we have consistently, year after year, collected 99% of what we've extended, and last year 100%, and we're on track to collect 100% again this year. So trend is showing that what we've extended, we've realized or collected at least, if not all, 99% of that revenue.
Sherry, then Mark.
Thank you. Rashawn, I don't have any question about the housing market, so, but, when I'm looking at this chart, okay, like, for example, I see the corporate fund, the 2023 levy was 102, the 2024 levy with the 2% is 104. But I see like FICA and IMRF, they're flat, 7.8 million and 16.2 million. Don't those dollar amounts have to go up? Because I'm assuming when salaries go up, our FICA increases and our IMRF increases. So why are those levies the same?
And you're speaking of the budget to actual chart, correct?
Yes, I'm looking at the resolution, the estimate of the annual aggregate levy corporate fund. There's a chart on there, be it further resolved that the county will does hereby recommend the following estimates for adoption of its 2024 levy. It's that one. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so this has been consistent. So we've extended about 7.8 for FICA and 16.2. So there is the revenue replacement tax. That's the other revenue source that comes into both of these funds. So we're for IMRF, we're levying just about what our actual expense is. And for FICA, we're levying a little bit less because we have the other revenue coming in.
Okay, but that's why there's no change between 2023 and 2024 because we're supplementing with the other.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That was I'm going to assume that's the same for the other ones that are the same.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mark?
It's already on. I was just gonna say that, I think that Julie's question and my question, I think I know what the answer is. If there is a rapid decline in housing prices, people are gonna be stuck having to pay high property tax bills based on levies, based off old assessments. And on the county side, we may have less revenue to collect because people aren't going to be able to afford these property taxes. And we could find ourselves in a circular situation where people are, struggling and they choose to leave the county for a state that has less of a property tax burden. So I guess my point is that if there was overnight, these artificially high housing prices, were to pop and go down, we as a local government would say, okay, we have to trim up our budgets. We have to do more with less. We have to rein in spending and, make better decisions and prioritize the expenses that we really need. So, I encourage us to do that,
But Mark, it's just like every corporation, business owner, manager would have to look at anytime there's a downturn in the revenue stream. Where do I cut? How deep do I cut? And how soon do I cut? The only good thing about this is housing prices don't go down like they will go down rapidly, but rapidly, if you look at 2007-8 timeframe, it went down over a period of 6, 7, 8, 10 months because that's the cycle of buying a house. It's months long, it's not like, COVID and running out of toilet paper type of thing. It takes a little bit longer for that. But I do agree with you. There's a slowdown in the economy. If you look at, manufacturing, you look at jobs, you look at, talk to any business owner, they're seeing it. So your point is valid. Now the question is let's get, the assessor in here and let's have a candid conversation about it, because that's something that in this case here, not a business, the elected officials are going to have to deal with as a county board, as well as within their departments that they represent. So valid question. And you always have to have a plan B, at least in the back of your mind, if not on paper, so.
Sure. So each of those, I guess those are funds on the left. Is that the right term?
Correct.
Funds. So each of those funds on the left, is there a breakdown of the spending for the corresponding levy funds? And was that in the September 17th meeting? Was that where that packet?
Yes, all of those
information was
funds are in the budget.
Yep.
So in
Yeah.
your budget book.
but in the September 17th meeting, that's the
We-
expenses within each of those funds is what was discussed and covered.
Yeah, we covered the corporate fund. We more so covered specifically the corporate fund. Anything below that are all special funds. So
Do
they're,
we have conversations on the special funds, individual, like board meetings focused on those or?
only if certain focuses on a specific fund.
Were there any plans to do those or no?
Well, we don't have much choice on how the
Yeah.
special funds, we don't control those, unfortunately. We control that 270 some million dollars. The balance of it is managed by the department. And where the money comes from, then that money, where it comes from is then dictated on how it can be spent.
That's correct. So for each of the special funds, there is either they receive grant funds that can only be spent for certain things, special revenue that is collected, that's restricted, that can only be spent on certain things.
With, I believe, also certain timeframes too.
That's correct.
So I'll say they have an expiration date. So even though you may not want to spend the money, you may have to spend the money. Otherwise, you use it or lose it. So Judy, one second.
So Rashawn, I know the special funds come from different sources. So like highway is the MFT funds and the gas tax we have. Would you be able to provide a breakdown of special funds so that they could understand where that comes from? So like I say, with highway department, it's pretty easy. The health department has its own, so they can understand where those special funds come from. And again, they may not get those special funds as well, just like anything in
Right.
the levy.
So we can break it down. I can do that
Yeah.
now. So FICA, IMRF, tort, and workers' comp. Those are all FICA, that matches the expense side, in which is tied to, as you know, our personnel cost. IMRF, that's the pension fund, which is again tied to personnel costs. Tort immunity, that's our liability account, which is, a specific revenue account. Workers' comp, that's self-explanatory. That's a special fund as well. The TB sanitarium, that is our TB clinic. So a portion of the revenue for that fund is the levy. Then they also have fees that they collect as well. The health department, as you know, a portion of that, a third is the levy. However, a big portion of their revenue comes from grants and fee for service. Highway, again, they are levy funded, and they receive reimbursement for some expenses. County Bridge is also tied to the highway department as well as the federal aid matching. And you can see that both of those amounts are very small.
Did I address your question, Mark?
No question.
Okay. All right, so seeing no other questions, we can move on to the number 3, estimated annual. No, we don't have to vote on any of these. I wasn't thinking on the last one, so these are more for informational. We don't have to vote until we get to number 4. What?
So,
There's resolution. Oh, yeah, there are resolutions in there.
yeah, this is a resolution.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll get with the program later on this afternoon, okay? I'm sorry. All right, so we had a motion on the floor and seconded. We haven't done anything. All right. Maybe I need like a 5-minute timeout, you know?
was just going down.
We had
So it's the 16th. The 16th? Oh.
I don't do it.
No.
We need a roll call.
Those are my
All right,
friends.
let's do a roll call and we'll
I
get,
like, I don't.
Jim, this is for the levy they want,
yes, yes,
which is,
for number two. Number two.
levy is 2%?
So the resolution is, and what's in the proposed budget is 2% CPI and new property. New property is estimated at 1.7 million. I don't have that percentage. Well, it's together, it's not a separate percentage. So what we levied last year was a 4% CPI in new property.
What was new property?
Let me look.
So we are voting on this today, Jim?
Yeah, we are, yeah. And then we'll move forward to the full board.
So levy first and budget would be November. Budget vote in November.
New property last year was 2.69, yes. Mhm.
We don't know that.
Then what? We need to come up with alternatives.
Just saying, it doesn't bring it forward.
May I make a remark? So I guess, just talk, there's some crosstalk from the board members up here. And we're just trying to do our due diligence, give the people of Will County the best outcome. These decisions we make have major financial implications for the Will County taxpayer. So, that being said, within our corporate fund, knowing that 52% of it goes to personnel and salaries, maybe that figures off. Is it more than that?
Yep, 70.
70%, I'm sorry. So do we have like a outline of each of the positions that are expecting, salary increases for this year? And I only say this because it's just a thought that came in through the CAC conversation in our finance committee from this month. But, if we have a lot of employees that are expecting a salary increase, couldn't we reduce their hours to, a 35-hour-a-week base as opposed to a 40-hour-a-week base? We wouldn't be giving them the monetary value of a salary increase, but it would still have the same effect. That's just like one solution to maybe giving people salary increases or covering that. I don't know if maybe we can look at all the positions that were outlined for a salary increase for this upcoming year and that we budgeted for. And then we say, well, maybe we can, cut these employees to a 35-hour-a-week expectation. Is that something we can even do,
So,
Mary? I'm not even sure.
I'm going to make a generalization, Mark, in the fact that first off, many of these people are represented by a union and they're under a union contract where where their incremental raises are already structured into the program, which we did take that into account. Second off is the fact that a number of county employees also work a 7-hour day, 8:30 to 4:30. So they're already technically at a 35-hour work week with a 1-hour lunch built in there too. Now, I'm not saying nobody works more than that. I'm just saying what you're asking for, we have two challenges already. Some are already there.
Yeah.
And some are under a union contract, both of which are going to be hard to change. All right. I've learned in life, the couple things you don't mess with are people's family, their vacations, and their pay.
That's right.
So when looking at this budget, what we've done is we have gone through it and nobody's lost their job. Everybody's gotten their pay raises. I think Rashawn, Marcy, and myself have gone through and done a number of, looked at I know I've looked at it line item by line item, and I guarantee you they've looked at line item by line item 100 times. And we've done as we've taken out and realigned many line items, or that if you were to ask me, we could probably get down to a 0.75 with new construction or a 0.50. And if you wanted to challenge me and we stayed here till probably 4 o'clock, I could go through and get us down below that. But I think very comfortably, we could actually get this down to 0.75 or that. Right now, the motion on the floor is for 2% with new construction. But I would be happy to consider in our next meeting, having a discussion on how we can get down below that and still do some work at the courthouse, the courtyard and that over at the old court building. So
So are you saying if we make a motion to change it to 0.75 plus new construction today, we could do something like that? And you think the county would still be able to operate, you know, to its full extent, nobody losing their job?
I can tell you, nobody would lose their jobs and everybody would get their pay raise, you know. I mean, that's based on my math, you know. And I went to a public school in the 60s and 70s, so I think it's still pretty good. So.
I
You-
mean,
you
I've,
asked- you
I've
asked the
made,
question, I gave
yeah,
you an answer.
I've made motions before, then they fall short on the floor. So I'm trying to read the temperature of the team, but
I guess I have a question.
Oh,
If this doesn't pass out of here, it won't go to the full county board. I mean, then what?
that or we sit here till whatever time tonight. Or we have another meeting. Which we could. I mean, I'm all up, if we want to have another meeting, have a discussion, look at it, have some conversations and that. I mean, when could we have another meeting? No, I know, but I mean,
couldn't we also vote on?
I would like to see any numbers, you know, that would result from a lower. Oh, my apologies. I would like to see any numbers, any budget changes in detail that would result from a lower, you know, from less than the 2%. If that's the way the committee is thinking of
Like
going.
what goes away?
How much is lower?
we could put that together. I mean, can we just, Yep.
I'm very comfortable with the 2%, but
all right, so just trying to discuss with staff on when we could do it. So there's an option of next Tuesday at 10 o'clock before land use, because public health meets at 9 o'clock. And that would give us a full week for staff to get prepared, answer your questions, as well as what I could do is put together a presentation on what it would take.
What time were you saying Tuesday?
10 o'clock Tuesday. Because I think Julie's the only one that's on land use after that then. Oh, sorry, are you on? land use?
land use, yeah.
Can I just share a thought? I might be wrong on this. We do it on the Forest Preserve this way. We vote on the levy and the budget in the month of November. Is there something that we could do to our budget schedule where, you know, we do that, you know, at the November board meeting and November finance committee meeting?
We could do it even on Wednesday, is that? So we
But-
can even do it on, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead,
That's
Judy.
okay. I have a question. So we have two members that are also on the land use committees. That would be those committees that have to be there. Who on this committee is also on public health?
It's just Micah, but she's not on this committee.
And Dan,
Not on this.
you're not on this committee though. Oh, you raised your hand, Nelson.
I did.
Yeah.
I was answering her question,
Oh.
I realized I.
Okay,
So we could do something else.
so nobody.
Nobody else. So we could do a meeting in the county boardroom if it's open. It should be since It could be, we can check to see if it's open.
I
So
cannot-
what,
I have a standing work meeting at 8 o'clock on that day. I mean, I just can't.
I would just say the meeting, I guess, is secondary to the request. Jim, as the chair of the committee, you said that you think we could get to the 0.7 CPI with new property, right? And you would feel comfortable with that. And Judy, this is good news. You know, I am not gonna fight with the chair of the committee this year, and we're gonna go with his recommendation. So I guess there's something to celebrate over, Judy. The rest of the committee, I'm not speaking for them, but, you know, I just feel that, you know, it would not be us fulfilling, you know, our obligation if you think that we could get to the 0.7 with new construction and then we vote on it at 2%. That's not doing everything we can to fight high property
No, but you have
taxes.
to, you had to get 2% on the table because that's what's being proposed. And then from there, what we have to do is then discuss, have the discussion on how to do it. Now, we can schedule another meeting. I'll be more than happy to put all this together. What I wanted to do is share this with you and see if there was any resistance. Last year, there was a tremendous amount of resistance of doing this. And I went through, I did my homework, staff has been doing their homework, and what we now have to do is have a meeting of the minds with this committee. So I'll be more than happy to put together a presentation that'll show you exactly how we can get to that point. And then it's up to this committee as well as the full board to move forward or not. All I can tell you is that, you know, I'm more than happy to do, present what it is that we have and go from there. As far as when, okay, oh, yeah. So Kim has, if Kim could put together the options as far as when we could have a following meeting and how to move forward, so.
Well, I guess what I was gonna say is Mark, you brought up a point, but so there's several options. You can postpone this particular item to the next finance meeting so that there can be the presentation by Mr. Richmond and staff as to how to lower it from 2% down to the 0.75. You can vote on it today. If it passes, it would move forward to the full board and could be addressed then. If you voted on it today and it did not pass, it would not move forward to the board. Or there could be a motion to amend it at this point.
And so even if we voted on it today and we don't vote on it successfully, it wouldn't move to the full board with a, you know, a negative recommendation.
No, it just
From
would
the
not
committee?
move to the board. It dies, yeah.
Well, I know, I would like to see options, you know, and how those options will affect,
So you have to pass your levy in October.
right.
Statutorily, you have to pass it in October, so you need to move something forward. When whether that's you move forward, no recommendation or not, county board needs to vote on this in October.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna postpone this portion of it. We're gonna establish another meeting date. There, then what I'll do is I'll give my presentation. Ask any questions you want, and then at that point in time, that day, we will not leave here until there is a vote and we can move it forward to the vote. So that's the proposal, that's what I'm offering, so.
Making an amended motion, you're making an amended motion to postpone.
I think so.
So I'm making an amended motion to postpone this to
And the next,
the next meeting to be determined. Is that okay, Mary?
Usually another member does, the
Oh,
chair
all right,
does
so-
usually, so you need to ask for a motion to amend.
So can somebody,
Well, ask for a motion to postpone to the next finance meeting.
I'll make a motion to postpone
Second.
okay,
to the next scheduled meeting.
and we already have a roll call. Let's take a roll call, just do a roll call. Somebody doesn't.
Newquist,
No.
Berkowitz,
This is to postpone, yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Yes.
Revis, Richmond. Motion carries.
So we'll get that information pulled together. Rashawn will make sure you have an invite because I'm sure you're gonna want to be here. I'll add anybody else to the agenda. Set up with Kim because what Kim can do is kind of aggregate, maybe if there's some redundant ones, it's way we're not stepping all over each other. So, all right, next item up is the estimate on the annual community mental health fund.
And I have a question about this.
Motion on this.
A motion, put it on the floor before
Need a motion,
discussion.
put it on the floor.
Motion.
Get a second.
Second, Berkowitz.
Sean, it's all yours.
Okay, so the levy that's being proposed is the same as the previous year. So no CPI or new property. It will remain at 10 million.
So that means this year they want another 10 million
So
That-
they can levy, this is.
every year.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So do we have a breakdown of what they've spent from the $10 million last year? Because I never saw it. I missed it. Do we know how they spent that $10 million from last year?
So they haven't spent the $10 million. So this is the first year that they're receiving the levy. There was a distribution in May, and the second distribution. The only expenses I can tell you that they had, which was very minimal, was other professional services, and then they just brought on staff.
So can the county board receive a detailed breakdown of what they have spent that $10 million on? And if there's 8 million still sitting there, I'd like to know.
Did they get the $10 million?
So they haven't, we haven't.
They will collect.
They haven't realized the full 10 million. As I mentioned before, there was a first distribution in May and the second distribution just in September.
Well, I guess that leads to a second question. They must have a budget? like
Yes,
we
they do have a budget.
So-
It's in your budget book and can be found
And it
on
talks-
page.
Okay.
Just the same as it's a special revenue fund.
It talks about the where the money's gone, like specifically who and,
No,
Okay,
no, it
so
doesn't
that's
show.
what
It
I'm
just shows
asking
you
for.
line item and how much has
Okay.
been spent in that line item.
so that's what I'm asking for. So, I mean. Yeah, itemized.
So
yeah.
Julie, it sounds like what you're looking for is what are the distributions year to date as of September 30th, if you have that information?
Well, and what are their plans for
Because
the
this
$10
is
million?
this is the budget book for next year.
Mhm.
So what you're asking for is expenses year to date in the special funds.
And,
that
and
it?
what their plan is for the remaining,
For the
10 million.
remainder, well, for the remainder of this year's
Mhm.
spend. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, yes.
And, Mr. Chairman, can I also offer and just let the committee know, we do have, the executive director, here, and maybe I'll have her come up so she can introduce herself so that the committee, is aware that, who the representative is for the Community Mental Health Board.
Sorry, I didn't recognize you or know you were here, so thank you for coming out.
Sure. Good afternoon. So I'm Tina Mackey.
Just a sec, he's getting you on. It has to turn red.
All right, there you go.
Thank you. Yeah, so Tina Mackey, I'm the new executive director for the Community Mental Health 708 Board. I've been here a few weeks, but I can give you some good information about your question. The levy was passed in fall of '22, and so it takes some time to get organized and get the levy ready for payment. So we started to collect that money in May, correct, of 2024. So the first payment was about $5 million. There was a commitment already in place to pay the Will County Health Department $4 million of the levy for this tax year. And so that has occurred. We collected $5 million, we paid $4 million. There was $1 million left. Now in the September payments, we've collected another $5 million, give or take, leaving an amount of $6 million. we will, we will start to accept grant applications January 2nd. We'll accept grant applications January 2nd through February 14th. We'll award those dollars in March, mid-March. And so the money that has been collected in this past year's tax levy will in fact be paid out before the subsequent tax levy occurs. So I met with the treasurer's office. They've endorsed that schedule so that, like your question is, there's a sense of urgency to spend that money before we start collecting more money for the same purpose, right? So those dollars will be, again, the grant applications are coming in January, the dollars will be awarded in March, and that cycle will complete then before the new tax levy year collections.
So Tina, you have $1 million that hasn't been allocated.
It's probably closer to 6 now with the September collections.
From the first collection, it was $1 million because 4 million went to the health department.
Correct.
Okay. What is that $1 million doing right now? Is it paying your salary and?
Sure, part of that, sure.
And
There's my
how much-
salary, there's some other expenses.
How much is your board spending on salaries and that is not going to mental health?
Oh,
Is it, somebody said something like 6%?
it's about 5 or 6%
5 or
of the entire
6%.
levy.
Okay. And so right now, with the second amount that you received, the second $5 million, do you have, you don't know where that's going? You're starting up a grant
Right,
process.
correct.
And is that money also part of the March 2025 distribution?
Correct.
Okay.
Right, so the balance of that 10 million will be distributed before the new levy year cycle begins.
So what's happening with that money until March of 2025?
It just sits in the fund. And I just want to add also, they can't deplete that fund. They have to have, the fund has to have a fund balance. We can't have a negative balance for any of our county funds.
What is
so-
that balance?
So right now, I think there is just close to 6 million with the second levy distribution. So any funds that they have not dispersed in this fiscal year, we only have 1 month now because we're already in October, so we have 2 months left, will carry over to the next fiscal year. So what they have anticipated, if they're accepting applications in January and will disperse funds in March, will happen during the fiscal year 2025.
So I think what I'm trying to digest here is we've taken $10 million out of the taxpayers' pocket. It's sitting there. It's going to be well, except for the 6% you're spending on administration and.
Correct, and 4 million has already been
Correct.
allocated,
But
given to the
the
health
rest
department.
is sitting there until it's dispersed in March of 2025. So we've taken it out of the taxpayer's pocket. It's sitting there. And now, in the meantime, we want to give you another $10 million. And I realize 4 million went to the health department. That's great. But when the health department comes before the county board, we have always given them what they ask. We have always supported our county board, our health department. We have made sure that they have everything they need. And so here, again, what I'm struggling with is this is 6% of expenses that might help somebody save their home or pay their property taxes. And now we're going to vote on $10 million more. So I would like to know, I'm asking, where do you have any idea who will get that remaining $6 million? Or this is all held in a fund until it goes out in March.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
The folks that'll be
incredible.
eligible for funding are in the three categories. People who provide services for mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities. So, yeah, and I understand your concern about the timing, this timing of the cycle. There is a sense of urgency to spend that money when it's just sitting there in the bank. But I do think, and again, feedback from the treasurer's office is that the cycle, as it repeats every year, is a good one in terms of the timing, because the tax levy is collected. And some of it's of practical nature. You know, November and December is not a really good time to ask people to submit these big grant documents through the holiday season, the first of the year. And it really is in terms of the treasurer's issue, a nice cycle to be able to award that money through the spring before the new tax levy starts. So again, you know, that's the sort of the practical nature of how the budget dates were
So
arrived
I'm
at.
just curious with the 4 million to the health department, did they have to file for a grant through you? No, okay.
No,
They didn't,
no.
but other,
Although there was a budget proposal there, I mean, it wasn't a formal grant, but there was a budget proposal with a description of how the money would be spent. And they do come to the monthly meeting and give updates on exactly what the money is spent on and their progress. They're held to a standard as well.
so Jim, I would appreciate it if the county board members could get a written financial report on the 6% of administrative expenditures.
So
Or are we not
Judy,
allowed
no,
to have
no,
that?
Judy, to address your question, or I'm sorry, Julie, to address your question. Sorry, you two can't sit on the same side. You gotta separate yourselves. All right, so Julie, to address your question, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move this. Oh, so I'm gonna ask for a motion to move this to the next postponed finance committee meeting, date to be determined, which will be very soon. So if I could get that motion, that's what we'll do.
I'll make that motion to postpone or move this, postpone this to the next finance meeting.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Now Sherry has some discussion.
Yeah, just a quick point. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm assuming you guys haven't given out the money yet is because you didn't have any money to give out, number
Right.
one. And number two, correct me if I'm wrong, but 6% for administrative expenses is actually very low in a grant situation. Okay, just wanted to ask about that. Thank you.
So I need a roll. Oh, Annette has a question. Oh, got it?
Can that rate change? I thought with the referendum, it was a set amount.
No, we vote on it.
Can,
So I think your question is, can the county board vote to reduce the percentage of the proposed levy? That's the question.
Yes. That's it.
I don't have that answer, so we'll add that to the, we'll add that.
I think you can,
Bless you.
but
So we'll add that to the questions for the following meeting. So if that's a good enough answer for you, we'll just. So I need,
no, they have
I have
a
a
second.
second. What I need is, Rolla, do a roll call, please.
And then Jim, I'd like to say,
Oh, right now?
it isn't going to change the vote, so I can. All right, I have three questions. So one is the lowering the rate. I don't know if we can or not. Number two is, we did give the mental health board long before you were here, Tina, a loan. Has that been repaid?
Yes, that has been repaid. That was repaid back in August,
Okay.
once they received.
And I know that wasn't a lot. We just gave them some working cash, okay? And then the other question is, so we have about 6 million in an account. Is it possible for the treasurer to invest those dollars in a short-term investment to earn some interest?
They are currently earning interest. So if you,
But you guys didn't say that. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
yes, and the revenue with the interest earned is in your budget book.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, as long, that's good. I just
Yes.
want to sit in an account and as long as we're, because not going to spend it till that March, maybe after March, so at least we'll be getting some extra. And then just, I guess I'll have one more question. Currently, I know you're an employee. Is there another employee? I know, I think there's a goal to have one more besides yourself, right, at this
some
point? Yeah, so we have one employee right now. We need to have somebody do this role because the board is just, board, part-time kind of staff, so. All right, that was it, thank you.
So is there still the legal counsel? I can't remember the lady's name, but is she,
Oh, the attorney.
okay. Okay.
Yes, there is right now.
So she's,
No,
Oh,
she's not an
she's not an
employee.
employee, she's a contractor with like, is that like on a monthly retainer type thing?
Correct, exactly correct.
Right. So Tina, seeing as you're the only employee, we'll let you know when the next meeting is gonna be. And we'll make sure we have
I
you
will be
prepared
there.
with questions, in advance, hopefully from the committee, and then we'll go from there. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming out.
Sure.
So we need a roll call. Perla?
Newquist,
Yes.
Berkowitz,
To postpone, yes.
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Revis,
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So it's going to get easier from here, folks. Transferring appropriations within various county budgets. Number 4, can I get a motion?
Motion, rather, second, rather.
Previous row, Berkowitz.
Second Parker.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, authorizing the use of contingency funds for security services. Can I get a motion?
Motion, Berkowitz.
Second is question.
Sure.
Why do we have to use contingency funds for this? Oh. Why are we using contingency funds for this?
So the security services is currently consolidated in the finance budget, and we've depleted just about all of the budget for 2024. We have 2 months still remaining in the fiscal year, so this will get us through the end of the fiscal year. We may not expense all that has been requested. If not, it stays in the corporate fund. So this is the first full year that the services have been consolidated, and that's for this building, the MCO building, adult probation, the problem-solving courts, and River Valley. And this is basically an interdepartmental chargeback for the services that is being provided by the sheriff's office.
Okay, am I losing my mind, or I thought we voted on this already?
No,
So,
no, this is the
thank-
first time that this request has come before you.
Thank you.
We had something last month for player or something.
That was the MPMG wire. Yes.
I think that's what you might be thinking
Yeah,
of. So,
yes, yes.
yeah. All right, did we need a previous on this one then? Previous?
Previous.
Second?
Second, Berkowitz.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, appropriating grant funds in the coroner's budget. Can I get a motion? Motion Newquist.
Second is.
17.
Oh.
Can I get previous?
Previous.
We're on number 6, folks.
She previous.
Previous, can I get a second?
Second is.
All in favor?
Sorry, Jim.
All right. Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, authorizing county executive to execute necessary documents for delinquent tax programs. Can I get a motion?
Motion request.
Second is.
Previous Parker.
Second, Revis.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Rashawn, thank you. I saw you snuck away on us, but thank you very much for sitting up here and,
Too tired of sitting in the
yeah,
house.
yeah. So thank you very much. Next up is other new business. Any new business? Public comment. Anybody here from the public to comment? Not that this meeting was too long or too short. Nobody? Anybody? All right, no public comment, nothing online? All right, reports by the chair. We will get back to everybody with when our next meeting is going to occur. We're going to have it as soon as legally possible and give everybody the appropriate amount of time to ask their questions and or have staff put together their responses, PowerPoint, whatever they want to do. And I will present mine too. Sure. Oh.
I think if you cannot attend a certain day, send that into staff so that they know that Sherry can't be here on a Friday and Annette can't be here on that one Tuesday, so they know.
So, yeah, if you can't tell staff now,
Right.
but by close of business today, we
Today.
can get this on, yeah, it has to be done next week, folks. So whatever we can do to make that happen is what I'd like to have happen. So, all right. There's no need for executive session, Mary. Thank God. And can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion for second is.
All in favor? All right, we're adjourned. And even though it says our next scheduled meeting is November 5th, there will be one more in between that.